Hello and welcome to Subway NIBFA today. I'm Barry Green. I hope that Santa was good and brought plenty of football boots and kits. In our first show of 2019, we'll be showing you some standout National League and NIBFA Cup highlights from the month of December. Plus, we went along to watch St Oliver Plunkett's under-16 team in training. We spoke to players and parents. We'll have that for you later in today's show. And we'll be announcing the Player of the Month for December, so do stay tuned for that. Today we'll be joined by Larne defender Chris Ramsey. We'll be getting his thoughts on our three featured games. First up, we go to Lurgan Junior High for an under-14 National League fixture. It features Green Island Boys and Glenavon. Both teams started this game in the top 6 of the table. Johnny Martin is on commentary.
Glenavon and Green Island under-14s kicked off at Lurgan Junior High School. Glenavon in the blue and Green Island in the maroon. Some good early pressure from Glenavon down the right wing forced the first chance of the game as Jesse Turner's cross from the right wing set up Jack Derry, who worked the Green Island goalkeeper inside the first 5 minutes. The Lurgan Blues started this game ever so strongly, and the next chance fell to Stuart Harrison, who could only fire at Rhys McCune, who got down well to save. It was Green Island that created the next shooting opportunity. This time their captain Jack Patterson let fly from distance and tested Dylan Brake in the Glenavon goal. From this Rhys McCune kick out, Glenavon attacked down the right wing. A perfect cross from the right arrived at the feet of Stuart Harrison, who powerfully finished inside the box to give Glenavon 1-0 lead after 30 minutes. Into the second half we go with Glenavon leading 1-0, and it was the Lurgan side that scored the next goal when a long ball ended up with Jesse Turner, who controlled it perfectly before rounding the goalkeeper to put 2 goals between the sides. The next goal was always going to be important, and Green Island scored it when their captain Jack Patterson powered forward and held off Glenavon challenges before getting the chance to play in a pinpoint cross from the right wing to set up Ben Ritchie, who gave Green Island a lifeline, and the comeback was now on. That Ben Ritchie goal moments earlier lifted the County Antrim side, and the next major chance fell to Jaden Withers, who forced a very brave save from Dylan Brake, who came off his line well to save. At this stage, Green Island were searching for the equaliser, and this ball over the top was controlled perfectly by Rhys Black, who played in Jaden Withers, who forced another save from Dylan Brake in the Glenavon goal. Glenavon were still trying to score more goals, and Stuart Harrison's pace and trickery was causing Green Island problems. His cross into the area wasn't properly cleared, allowing Harrison to get a shot away, which was deflected onto the crossbar. From a Green Island corner from the right hand side, they levelled it when Jack Patterson scored from close range to set up a grandstand finish with a scoreline now 2 each. The momentum was now with Green Island, and they won the ball in midfield when Glenavon were attacking, allowing them to set up a counter-attack. It fell for Jaden Withers up front, who kept the ball low to poke under the Glenavon goalkeeper to make the score Green Island 3, Glenavon 2, and that's how it finished at Lurgan Junior High School.
Well, I'm delighted to say I've been joined by Larne's Chris Ramsey. Chris, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start off and talk about the revolution going on at Inver Park. Kenny Bruce has come in and snapped up the club. You're currently galloping clear at the top of the championship, so all looks good.
Yeah, we're sitting 13 points clear, and we're obviously delighted at that. We have had a bit of a wobble in December. And I think we have 1 draw and 1 win and 2 defeats, which it's unfortunate for us, but as I say, we are sitting 13 points clear, and hopefully we can just get back to a bit of form and maintain that lead at the top.
Tell us a bit about the model at Larne. You know, given that you have played previously with Cliftonville and Ballymena, you know what it takes to compete at the top level here. Will Larne need to, should they go up, will they need to bring people in? Do you think players in? Will they need to change a bit to accommodate for that kind of rise into the top flight here?
Yeah, I think when we go up, if we do go up, it is going to be a difficult ask for us to compete in the top level. The squad we have now is obviously filled with great players, but I know that Tiernan and the management team will want to bring players in that can drive us on and push us a wee bit further.
What in particular has impressed you, because you left Cliftonville a year ago, just last month, so what has impressed you most about Larne, particularly under this new regime?
Well, we've gone full time. We went full time at the start of this season, and obviously the professionalism that brings. So a lot of people have left their jobs, and we're training every day. So we're doing a lot more on the pitch, and we've a lot more working on tactics side of things, and we're in the gym a lot more than what we would have been when we were part time. So I think the professionalism around the club as well has helped me individually, and I know a lot of people have found the same.
We'll come back to that later in the show. That certainly, the professionalism should stand you in good stead, given that some of the other clubs in the top flight, like Linfield, some of the players there are full-time as well, and at Crusaders as well. But turning to Green Island's 3-2 win in the game that was just seen, 2-0 down they were, and it was quite the turnaround from the County Antrim lads, wasn't it? It
was, yeah. I think the standout player in the game for their comeback was the captain, Jack Patterson. He set up the first goal, he scored the second, and he seemed to be a real driving force in midfield, and that's exactly what you're looking for from your captain.
You've just said it, he reminded me of, and I've seen him quite a few times in recent weeks, of somebody like Stephen Gerrard, in that he loves to get the ball, get it down and surge forward with it. He's got amazing dynamism. So is that what you like to see in your central midfielders?
Yeah, he seemed to be able to get about the pitch. He can go box to box. He was pushing players off the ball, and he seemed to be driving his team forward. And as I say, as a captain, that's exactly what you're looking for. Yeah, and
that goal to win it from Jaden Withers, we know that he prefers the ball on his left foot, but let's talk about the goal, the move that actually started that. It was exceptional, wasn't it?
Yeah, so they won it back. They were defending a throw-in at the first stage of Glenavon's attack, and they win it back and they break quick. It's a lot of one-touch movement, and it's a great finish by Withers at the end of it.
Absolutely superb. Thanks for the moment, Chris. Well, that was tough on Glenavon, who lost some ground on the rivals in the standings. Great resolve shown, though, by Green Island, who have learnt a lot from that victory. Now for a second game, we travelled to the Dub in Belfast. This time it was an under-13 NIBFA Cup fixture between Glentoran and Ballyclare Colts. The side from the South Belfast League went into the game as underdogs. Let's see which team made it through. Ballyclare Colts, representing the South Belfast League, went head-to-head with Glentoran in round 3 of the NIBFA Under-13 Cup at the Dub in Belfast. Glentoran playing in their traditional green colours and Ballyclare in red and white on a cool, crisp morning on the 3G surface. Ballyclare started with real intent in the game. Their captain, Liam Finn, set up a move down the right, with David Taylor racing down the wing. And when the Glens could only partially clear the ball, Finn then picked the pass to Callum Adams, but Taylor's ball into the area, unfortunately for Ballyclare, drifted out for a goal kick. Glentoran tested Ballyclare with some slick interplay on 6 minutes. This excellent Killian McCandless ball found Rhys Little, who skipped away from his marker before drawing a save from Dylan Owens.
Just moments later, Brendan Hamilton sent this free kick into the box. It was spilled by Owens, and McCandless rattled the post with the follow-up. Hamilton was provider on 10 minutes, his initial free kick blocked, but he sent the loose ball into the Ballyclare box for Rhys Little to head home. 1-0 to the Glens, who were beginning to flex their muscle. Rhys Walsh then seized upon a poor goal kick to set up Little for a cross. The ball running all the way to the back post, where it found Aidan Docherty, who flashed this shot over the crossbar. Ballyclare, who earlier had penalty claims turned down, surged forward through Zach Law after 14 minutes when the ball fell to Callum Adams on the edge of the box. He watched on as his shot came back off the crossbar and the Glens cleared the danger. More neat interplay from Walsh and Jack McCosh almost brought a chance for Jay Harvey. Owens, though, did well to come out of his area and claim the ball for Ballyclare. Before the first half drew to a close, Little peeled away from Law. We'll see Little picking the ball up here with some neat skill initially, but he could only shoot straight at Owens, who was well positioned. The Glens then doubled their lead 9 minutes into the second half, with Harry Dorman firing into the roof of the Ballyclare net from Docherty's corner. Three minutes later, it was 3-0. A real team goal, this one. Jack Hastings and Dorman were initially involved. Little then scampered down the wing and put it on a plate for Jude Johnson to tap home from close range. Oh, Glentoran, they were still not done. With 8 minutes left to play, Johnson capitalised on some slack play in midfield, cutting the ball back for Hastings to score. The Glens safely into the next round. Glentoran 4, Ballyclare Colts 0.
So Chris, Ballyclare from the South Belfast League were expected to find that game tough going, and that's exactly how it turned out.
Yeah, I think they could take a few positives from it, to be honest. They seemed to start off well, a couple of attacks early on. They hit the crossbar, and if that goes in, it could be a bit of a different game. But just listening to the manager, and he said they had a penalty appeal turned down as well, so if they get that, it could be a different game from then on in.
The third goal for the Glens from Johnson was the pick for me. The Glens keeper started that move with a goal kick, and then just 4 passes later it was in the back of the Ballyclare net. So from players that age, it was extremely impressive, wasn't it?
It was amazing. It's great build-up play the whole way through, as you say. It starts with the keeper, goes into midfield, it's dropped back to the right back, and he plays it up the line. And I think the guy is Rhys Little on the right wing. He seemed to have a fantastic game. He's crossed it in, he's been unselfish, and he's played it in the middle for a tap-in. So a goal for Rhys Little and an assist for Rhys Little. I think he's had a really good game.
A cracking game, but let's not forget about that performance from Ballyclare. As you said, another day it might have turned out differently, but for those players who were beaten by 4-0, they shouldn't be too despondent, sure they shouldn't.
No, as I say, they did have chances in the game. I think it's just a matter of going away and listening to their coaches, try and take the positives from the game that they had, and as long as they learn from their performance, then go on. I know they've been doing really well in their league, they're unbeaten in their league, so they just carry that form on and keep improving, and I'm sure they will.
Thanks very much, Chris. So safe passage, I should say, into the next round of the Cup for a strong-looking Glentoran outfit. Now, just before our halftime team talk with Chris, here's a word from our sponsors, Subway. Well, now it's time for our halftime team talk with today's guest. Chris, let's begin by talking about your time at Manchester City. you might get ribbed somewhat by your Larne teammates. How did the move to Manchester City originally come about, and when was that?
It was in 2006. I was playing for Lisburn Youth. I'd been playing for them since under 12, and I'd been in trials a few times with different clubs, and I went over to City with a few. Actually, I was over at City the first time with Conor Devlin and Nevin Spence, actual rugby player.
Yes.
Yeah.
Played for Balmahinch and Ulster.
He did indeed, and we were invited back for a second game, and I think all three of us were offered contracts, but I was the only one that took the move, and I moved across.
As a club, City have had remarkable recent success due to the investment of foreign cash. The club has totally changed, presumably, since you were there.
Yeah, whenever I was there, I think there was 33 players that had made the move from the academy up into the first team. I'm not too sure on what the number is now, but obviously with the investment that they've had, they can bring players in from all over the world and bring the best players that at any age group they can have. So it has been a massive change for the club, and they've just gone from strength to strength. They've won the league now last few years, 2 to 3 years, and they're challenging again this year. Obviously Liverpool have gone a bit ahead at the top, which I'm sure you're delighted about.
I am, as a Liverpool fan, delighted about. Yeah, so your time at City, what was it like in terms of, you know, training, the time that you had to spend outside that? What did you spend your time doing, for instance?
For the first 2 years we were in the academy, so the academy and the first team are completely separate. They're different parts of Manchester. So at the academy it was more like a full-time job. You were in from 9 in the morning to about 4:30, and that was like 2 training sessions with a gym session near enough every day. So it was tough going. You didn't have much time to spend outside of football, to be honest. You were going home, you were having your dinner, and you were that tired from training during the day. You were near enough going straight to bed. Just a lot of PlayStation in the evening times, to be honest. Xbox, whatever everyone was into. I was moved up the reserves for a year, and it was a lot more difficult then to manage your free time. You were maybe had to be in the building for 10:30, training started at 11, and you were finishing at like 12:30. So there was a lot of free time, and it was, what do you do? You go home, there's only so much PlayStation you can play, there's only so much films you can see in the cinema or stuff like that. But it was a great experience to be there, obviously training full time, and just seeing how professionals train as well. So when you go up to reserves, you would have been alongside the first team a lot of the time. It's great to see the standard that they have, and you were trying to build towards that level.
Are there any players then playing in the Premiership now that were there when you were at City?
There's 2 now. So Ben Mee, I'm good friends with Ben Mee still. He's playing at Burnley, captain at Burnley, and Kieran Trippier, who's at Tottenham, and he scored a goal in the World Cup semi-final, I think, as well.
Super.
So both of them are doing really well for themselves. It's good to see.
Now, obviously, it was disappointing then when you didn't make the breakthrough into the first team. When you came back to Northern Ireland, how did you acclimatise? Was it difficult falling back into, you know, football here, which is very different?
It was originally it was okay. I remember speaking with one of my old coaches from the Milk Cup, and he said, you'll start off and you'll be flying. And I joined Ballymena, and I did really well for the first 5 or 6 months. He said once you're 5 or 6 months down, you'll have a severe low. So I found my form dipping from, say, December, January onwards till the end of the season, until just got that level again where you're getting used to training 2 times a week. You maybe try and do a wee bit by yourself as well to keep on top of your fitness. I wasn't working at the time as well, so I was trying to keep up fitness just to try and be ahead of everyone else. I joined Portadown then in the summer after I come back, and that's whenever I seemed to steady out. So I found a decent bit of form then, and stayed there for 6 years, and obviously moved on since then.
Yeah, you joined Larne just over a year ago. That was a well talked about move, given that you actually stepped down a league. Now, we obviously know about Kenny Bruce, what he's trying to do there, but presumably that's a move that you think has gone well for you, and it's the right move at the right time.
Yeah, well, at the time I wasn't playing for Cliftonville. I hadn't played in about 2 or 3 months, so it was a chance to go and play week in, week out. And when I spoke to Kenny Tiernan and Gareth Clements, the chairman, they sold you. I know a lot of people say, well, you just go for the money, or just, but it's not about that. The plans that the club has for the future, it's you want to be a part of it. Once you speak with the people and you see that the involvement they have, and they suck you into it. They really do, and they're great people to work for, and they're great to play under. Tiernan and Seamus and Tim McCann as well. It's a great management team.
What's your ambition then for the next 2 to 3 years for you personally and for Larne as a football club?
Well, the aim at the start of the season is to be promoted, and that's what we're looking for. That we're not looking past that at the minute. Obviously this season would be good to get a run in the Irish Cup. We play Newry on Saturday, so it's obviously going to be a tough game against the Premiership club, but I don't really want to look too far ahead of this season, to be honest. If we get promoted, that's our aim met.
If you have any hints or tips for young up-and-coming aspiring players wanting to make it in the game, what would you say to them? What would your advice be?
First thing is to just listen to your managers. I think they're the ones that are going to try and do the best for you. And next thing would be to work hard. Work as hard as you can on everything. There's always things you can improve at. I know I'm 28 years of age now, and I know there's things that I can still work on, things that I do still work on in training. So it is just a matter if your manager's telling you to do something, he's telling you for a reason. So if you can go away, think about it, and then work on it as well with him on the training ground.
Thanks, Chris. Great advice there. Well, moving on, recently we took our cameras to Dunmurry to watch St Oliver Plunkett's under-16s in training. We caught up with some of the players and parents. Let's take a look.
And tell us just how good the last month's been for you. Hat-trick in one game.
It's been a good month. Scored a few goals, a hat-trick in one game, so it's been alright.
And what do you put your success down to?
The players in the team helped me out, score a few goals.
Oh, Billy, a proud father looking on your son winning Player of the Month. How does that feel?
It's great, it's good to see him getting a bit of recognition, but obviously he's part of a team, so it's just good to see the team winning.
What's he like to coach? What's he like as a son?
Oh, he can have his moments now, but he's a good lad, He's dedicated to what he enjoys, and obviously football's at the top of the list.
Tell us about your teammate.
Arnie's been consistent all year, he's banging the goals in for us, he's creating chances for me and others as well, so I think he deserves it. He works hard, he's maybe not seen sometimes, but he's been working hard and he's proven himself this year alright, so it's on.
Listen, it's fantastic for Aaron. He's come in during the summer and he's worked tirelessly hard. He came from Glentoran and he's come into this squad and he's really proved himself. I think he's had about 7 goals this year already, coming from midfield, turned into on the left hand side. So I'm absolutely delighted for him personally because of the hard work and effort he's put into date, and long may that continue because he's a good kid,
Well, thanks to Stephen McGinn and Plunkett for having us, and good luck for the rest of the season. Now, this campaign we have a Player of the Month award named on each show. This month, from a short list of 3, the panel chose Green Island captain Jack Patterson as the Subway NIBFA Player of the Month for December. Patterson played a key role in Green Island's comeback win over Glenavon and has been a driving force in midfield for Niall McGovern's side this season. An NIBFA rep will be in touch shortly to present you with your award, so well done again to Jack. Now it's time for our final match this month. It's another under-14 encounter and it pits the top 2 against one another. Linfield took on Bertie Peacock at Midgley Park in Belfast. This proved to be a superb advertisement for youth football here in Northern Ireland. Let's take a look.
The top two teams in the Under-14 National League met at Midgley Park in Belfast in wet and windy conditions. Linfield, the hosts, in blue and white, and Bertie Peacock Youth in the black and white colours. The visitors were first to settle, and this 6th-minute corner was met by Luca Docherty's overhead kick. Dathy McCallion, though, headed over the Blues bar. Peacock were intent on keeping the pressure on Linfield. Another well-worked corner routine saw Docherty fire a cross into the box. Bobby Jack McAleese couldn't keep this effort down, and the game remained scoreless. Yet another Peacock attack had Linfield keeper Ryan Brown scrambling across goal. Docherty again involved. Leon Boyd's effort on this occasion going narrowly wide. Then against the run of play, we then got the game's first goal after just 9 minutes. Dylan Rhodes picked up possession at just over halfway. He went past not one but two Peacock players, and his effort from just inside the 18-yard box squirmed past Conor Henry, the Blues scoring with their very first attack, a hard one to take for Peacock. Linfield at this point were growing into the game. Rhodes couldn't quite get the ball under his spell. It then ran to Ryan Burns, whose shot was straight at the Peacock keeper. After 18 minutes, the Coleraine lads scored a brilliant equaliser, a real exhibition of team football this one. Jack Elliott's pass was held up by Boyd. Jack Moffat then made tracks down the left flank. Docherty teed up McAleese, who took a couple of touches before clipping the ball into the top corner. And that was every bit deserved for Bertie Peacock. Linfield went back in front 5 minutes before the break. Owen McCarthy started the move. The ball wound its way to William Francie. And the left back swung over the cross into the area. Sam Glenfield ghosted to the near post, flicking home with aplomb. 2-1 to Linfield. Glenfield then thought he'd go it alone, surging towards goal. He fancied his chances again, shooting narrowly wide. 2-1 at the break. Linfield won a free kick early in the second half for this foul on Jack Berry. Glenfield was the taker, and his shot again just failed to find the net. The Blues were now firmly on top, and Glenfield and McCarthy combined well in midfield. The ball almost running to Berry before Henry intercepted. Francie then kept a keen eye on the high ball and rifled home an unstoppable shot that gave the Blues a 2-goal buffer. Linfield almost increased that lead after 56 minutes. Good closing down initially by Glenfield. He released Berry, who skipped away from his man, but he couldn't find the far corner of the Peacock goal. The hosts did then get a fourth with a minute remaining. William Francie made a key interception before laying off to McCarthy, who tried his luck from range. What a finish this one. 4-1 to Linfield, and the Blues open up a 5-point gap on Bertie Peacock at the top of the table.
Chris, a 4-1 scoreline, and although that looks emphatic, Peacock were firmly in that game for a large part of it. The Blues just had that extra bit of firepower as the game went on.
Yeah, I think 4-1's probably a bit harsh, to be honest. I was actually really impressed with how both teams played. I think the first goal for Bertie Peacock's a great advert for youth football.
Yeah, definitely.
They've got at the back, they've showed composure on the ball, they've played a great ball up to the striker, set back, and it's a great, well-worked move. There's a couple of corner routines that they had that were well-worked as well, so I think 4-1's probably a bit harsh. It just seems to be that Linfield took their chances and were a bit more clinical.
Yeah, one player who stood out for me, and I think for you as well, was Sam Glenfield, who put Linfield back in front after Peacock had equalised through McAleese. Was he the standout man for you?
Yeah, I think there was a couple of players that did really stand out to me. Sam Glenfield was one of them. His first goal is just a bit of individual brilliance, to be honest, with a flick.
How difficult is that? Because the pace at which the ball came in from Francie,
yeah,
you know, that is difficult to interpret how fast that's going to zip off the ground, isn't it? Yeah,
and it seemed to be a bit of a skippy surface as well. It seemed to be a lot of rain, and he's done really well. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So he's just done well, just a bit of brilliance, and flicked it over the keeper coming out. But you mentioned Francie. Francie was the other one that for me stood out.
Yeah.
He set up the first goal. He scored the third goal himself with a great touch out from the sky and a great finish. And he set up the fourth goal as well. He's been in a good position to pick the ball up, and he's led it off to McCarthy, for another great strike. So I think the two boys, Glenfield and Francie, are the two that caught my eye from all the highlights.
Well, those were the top two teams in the under-14 table going into that game, and you saw why, didn't you?
Yeah, as I said, it was a great advert for youth football at that age. Both teams seemed to want to play from the back. They seemed to want to pass up through midfield and up to the strikers. And you've seen as well, they have some players that have just that individuality, a bit of individual skill, a bit of pace, and can make things happen for both teams. And it was great to see.
Yeah, you wouldn't be surprised if any of those players then made their way in the game, either to the Premiership here or further afield.
Yeah, you can definitely see from the highlights that a couple of them have a bit of a chance as well. I think it's just a matter now they're under 14, they need to keep working hard and just keep trying to progress every week.
Thanks very much, Chris. Well, the Blues are going to be tough to stop at the top of the standings and now have a 5-point lead opened up at the top of the table. Well, that's it from us for this month's show. Thanks, Chris, for joining us on Subway NIBFA today. I do hope you enjoyed yourself today.
Brilliant, thank you very much.
Cheers, thank you. Thanks also to you for tuning in. We'll see you again next month with another studio guest poised to add their expertise. Please do share our programme on social media. Help us spread the success of National League football here in Northern Ireland. Finally, you can drop us a message on Facebook or Twitter via the NIBFA or Exporte pages. Join us again next month. We'll see you then.